you need immediate help, please call the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline at 1-800-662-HELP.
Bottle of wine, fruit of the vine. When you gonna let me get sober? Let me go home and start over.
Welcome to Clean and Sober Radio, brought to you in part by Jefferson University Hospitals and Thomas Jefferson University, providing excellent clinical and compassionate care in the Philadelphia region, a proven leader in healthcare and education since 1825. And now, here are your hosts, Gary Hendler and Mark Sigmund.
Hey, hi, everybody, and thanks for joining Clean and Sober Radio out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Clean and Sober Radio features real people with real stories about addiction to drugs and alcohol. Mark Sigmund, what's new this week in recovery news?
So I got a pretty scary story here. A new study came out, and it's claiming that marijuana can cause serious maternal complications to the female chromosomes in the eggs. Basically, what they're worried about is that they're seeing an increase in people smoking marijuana during pregnancy and before pregnancy. And this study is linking this to miscarriage, poor fetal development, early deliveries, and even death. And what they're saying is the THC content is so high in these marijuana, in the marijuana these days, that it's causing this increase in complications. So it's a really kind of a terrifying thing here, Gary, because right now with legalization, again, you're seeing more and more young mothers smoking pot.
Mark, we've been talking about this for 4 or 5 years, that the legalization of pot was a bad idea for long term, and also a very complicated idea, and it's starting to prove its ugly head.
And you gotta wonder, is some of this pesticides, right? Because, you'd have to really look at the study. I haven't had a real close look at it, but you got to look, was there pesticides in this marijuana? Because a lot of these high-strain marijuana, they're using pesticides. So maybe it's the pesticides and not the marijuana. But more will be revealed. But for any pregnant mothers out there or trying to get pregnant, I would steer clear of marijuana.
Yeah, good advice. What else you have?
So the second stories, we had a California woman tried to smuggle more than $1 million worth of crack cocaine in a gigantic wheel of Parmesan cheese into the UK, according to reports. Janie Cho, 23, aroused the suspicions of UK Border Force agents when she arrived at Heathrow Airport on a flight from Brazil on May 25th with a 17-pound wheel of Peruvian Parmesan cheese.
Well, they're gigantic. You ever see them in like a deli or something? And she had it stuffed.
Yes, 17 pounds. I couldn't imagine them being that big.
You know how heavy that is?
Yeah. It was stuffed completely with cocaine. And now she pled guilty on August 6th to charges of importing Class A drugs and was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison, Gary.
What do you think about that sentence?
I think it may be warranted. I mean, this is $1 million worth of cocaine, and you think about it like from $1 million worth of cocaine could have taken a couple lives. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
No, I agree. I have issues with long-term sentencing, no matter what. But
yeah,
okay. I get it.
And 5 years, if this was one of those mandatory minimum 30 years things or something like that, I would totally disagree with it.
Okay. All right, let's do this. We're gonna take our first break. When we come back, our guest is unbelievable. His name is Darrell Hinton, and he is the example of somebody who gives back after getting into treatment. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hey, everybody, this is former Philadelphia Flyer Chris Therien, and you're listening to Clean and Sober Radio.
610-632-8601. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
You can always enjoy Clean and Sober Radio on these radio stations: WWDB AM 860 in Philadelphia, WPEN 97.5 FM High Def 2 Philadelphia, WGAC Augusta, Georgia, WJBR 1010 Tampa, Florida, and a host of other stations.
We are spreading, Gary.
We are all over this planet.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we start the show, I just want to make a quick announcement and statement. We do not condone violence of any kind on this show. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, a political activist, is a very sad commentary on our society. No matter your political affiliation, violence is no way to express yourself or solve anything. Our condolences go out to his family. Okay, our guest today is Darrell Hinton. And Darrell, here's my connection with Darrell. We sit on the executive board of the Montgomery County Prison. It's actually called Montgomery County Correctional Facility, which is in Montgomery County, which is a suburb of Philadelphia. And I met Darrell and was extremely, seriously, in awe of this guy. Been sober for, I'm not going to tell you a story, Darrell, but, he's been sober for over 7 years, coming up on 8 in a couple months. He started an organization called Teach One and Feed One, and he'll tell us about that. And he is a living example of somebody who got into recovery and then did more than just kept himself clean. He now helps other individuals stay clean. And Darrell, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
I really appreciate it.
So, where are you from?
Norristown.
Okay, that's a suburb of Philadelphia. We have to keep saying, because there's people all over the country, they don't know Norristown.
Okay. So Norristown is about maybe 15 or 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Really small suburban area. Middle class, I would say, family.
You had said you had two loving parents.
Yes.
You have a sister.
I have an older sister.
Uh-huh.
I have a younger brother.
And a younger
so
brother.
I was a middle child. So I have middle child syndrome.
Right.
But yeah, two loving parents could not have provided me with more as a child. I was involved in every sporting event. They made sure when school came around, I had school clothes, I had school supplies, I had everything I needed and more as a child.
So were you a good kid, or were you rebellious? Were you a bad? I don't know can I say ass? No. Were you a bad boy?
I was a little rebellious.
Uh-huh.
I was a good kid. I got good grades in school because my parents wouldn't expect anything less than that. But when I went to school, it was my time, when my parents weren't around. So I was a bit rebellious. I wanted to make the girls laugh, and I wanted to seem as if I was a bad kid, but
right.
I really wasn't. On the inside, I was kind of a nerd.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you see that, Mark?
I can't. You seem real cool to me, man.
Yeah. I was a little bit of a nerd,
Were you?
In the sense that I knew at the end of the day, I needed to get good grades. I was expected to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I liked to read. I liked to order and everything like that. So I did a lot of things that weren't, I guess, popular with the other kids my age.
Right. Did you have to sort of prove yourself as one of the bad kids to be accepted in that group?
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what
You
it
know
was.
what? I had to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've talked to so many people that later have addiction problems, and it's we hung out with the people, places, and things before the drugs even came in the picture.
Yeah, we
Don't
did.
you think?
Oh, there's no question about it. We are the activities that we did were indicative of something was going to happen at some point.
Yeah, it was like seeking excitement,
Exactly.
seeking mischief. What
Thrill.
kind of things did you do that were kind of bad?
I would say, school. I got in a lot of trouble in school. So, in middle school, I wasn't able to walk in graduation because I accumulated too many points. And then my parents said, oh, well, you're a bad kid. But because of this, they kind of saw, I guess, what direction I guess I was going down. So they were like, we're sending you to Catholic school. And things didn't get better. They kind of only got worse when I went there. You know what I mean? So I got in a lot of trouble in school just because that was my outlet to kind of just like, I don't know, to kind of try and fit in, you know? Like, you know, I just wanted to fit in with whoever I was around and wherever I was. So.
I think we all did that, right?
Absolutely.
Just looking for a connection.
I was friendly with the worst and the best of the kids. I had it covered both ways.
You had both, huh?
Both ways. You know?
Yeah, it's funny because it's like, you know, seeking acceptance, right? Seeking acceptance. And were you a sports guy? Did you play sports? Football?
I was a sports guy. I was a basketball and football guy.
And football.
Yeah, I played basketball and football in all the way up until high school. Well, I played in high school as well, but that's where it stopped.
Why?
I wasn't good enough to play in college.
I gotcha. What position did you play in football?
I played quarterback in for football, and I played point guard for basketball. In basketball.
Where'd you go to college?
Westchester University. Loved Westchester. Go Rams.
Big party school, though, right?
I had too much fun. Clearly, I'm on Clean and Sober Radio, so I had
That's
I had too much
exactly
fun.
how
So
you
did
ended
you
up
have
there.
addiction in your family?
You know what? That's interesting because my dad actually, growing up, I didn't know it at that time, but when I was about 10, he suffered a back injury because he did construction, and he never went back to work after that. He was on SSI for the rest of my life and the rest of his. He's not with us anymore, but for the rest of his life, and I watched him, struggle, and I didn't even know what he was struggling from at that time, of course. But as I got older and as I started experiencing drugs and other things, I started putting two and two together, and I was like, oh, my dad had a back injury, and he's not working anymore, and he's taking these pills. I wonder what these pills are. They must be opiates. And that's how I discovered that my dad was taking opiates.
Did your parents ever say to you, hey, this is not a good way to go with the addiction? Did you have that in your house? I mean,
before they knew or after they knew?
After they knew.
Oh, yeah. After they knew that I was addicted?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And before they knew, actually, I should have said, obviously they were smart people. Did they ever say to you, I don't know if your dad did, your mom did, hey, Darnell, this is not the way we raised you?
Absolutely. Yeah, they, for me, before I even started experiencing in drugs, if you ask, like, my friends or my family members if I would be the guy that would walk this path and, experience in drugs and, go to treatment a bunch of times, they would have said no way. Of course, I was bad in school, but that was just like a facade. That was just me just acting out. In terms of being like a straight edge kid and, getting good grades and knowing that I'm expected to go to college, all of my friends would have told you there's no way that guy's going to walk that path. No way.
Did you lose friends during your addiction? I mean, I did. The ones that were, I want to say goodies, or the ones that could stop after a couple hours where I couldn't. They didn't want anything to do with me after a while. Did you experience that?
I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot for my own wrongdoing. I lost a lot of friends because I stopped being able to be a good friend. I was no longer a good friend. I wasn't a good partner. I lost significant others, lost partners, lost family members. I wasn't really much, I couldn't provide much of anything to anyone, let alone, myself, so I wasn't really any good. I wasn't employable. I wasn't reliable. I wasn't consistent. I couldn't keep my word for anything. So I lost a lot of friends due to myself, my own wrongdoing.
Yeah. You know what the amazing thing is, Mark? The three of us are sitting here, and really none of us should be sitting here.
A lot of close calls, right?
We're an example of you can get better. You
Yeah.
can get better as long as you're alive.
And for people that are listening that think there's no hope, just seek out a meeting, go to treatment if you can, right? And
and if you feel like you are in trouble or a family member thinks you're in trouble or a loved one, call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-HELP. And a qualified person will answer that phone and get you the resources that you need.
And they'll also talk to you, if you're in crisis. And the other number is 988. If you're feeling suicidal or in a mental health crisis, call that number and they will help you. Definitely reach out.
Because that 988 is a very important number, and mental illness and addiction go hand in hand.
It is, and we got a huge suicide problem in this country right now. And again, when somebody's suicidal, they often think that everybody will be better off without me, which isn't the case.
Yeah. So, okay, Darrell, tell us, all of us, what your life was like at Westchester University, who you hung out with, your addiction. Did it escalate? Did it decline? What was that? It's like we were living in a bubble of trash, What was it like for you? And who did you have to hide from mostly?
Westchester is a very interesting part of my story because it had some of the best times of my life, but then it also had obviously some of the worst times of my life. When I first got to campus, I'll never forget, I got dropped off by my parents, and for anyone who's ever been to college and you get dropped off, on campus in a dorm, you're just like,
what?
I can't believe that I'm in a place. It's kind of like I'm in a hotel with everyone my age, and there's no parents around. For the first time, it was just like I didn't even know what to do with myself. Yeah, exactly. So it was a little. Those were like the good times, and I did what I thought every college student did, what I saw in movies and what other people who have already been to college did. You drink and you have fun, and you go to class the next day and you just try and make sure that you keep a good balance and you maintain your grades, but also you have fun on the weekend. And I did that for quite a while. I did that for maybe like my first, I want to say like
week?
Freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah. Freshman and sophomore year,
Yeah.
Where it was just like, I want to say just innocent partying, drinking, smoking a little bit of pot. And then somewhere in that time frame, marijuana stopped having the same effect on me, where like that connection that it once gave me, where like I felt free and I felt like, wow, this is amazing. This is like shutting off my thoughts. It kind of just did the opposite, and it like made me think way too much, and it like gave me like the worst anxiety in the world, and I couldn't.
Wow.
I just stopped smoking. So I was living with some people who at the time were doing, and I question this a lot, like if I wasn't living with these people, would I have walked down this path, or was I always, I question that a lot, but I try not to anymore. But I was living with people who were experiencing it in other things, and they were doing, they were doing this pill called Percocet. And I had no idea what it even was, but they said that it made them feel amazing and it felt like Superman, and you'll work better and you'll do all these things better. You'll talk more. And, I remember what my parents told me. I was always brought up, say no to drugs, say no to drugs.
Yeah.
And one thing led to the next. I don't know when that point actually was, but I ended up trying it, and at first I didn't even like it, if I'm being honest with you. It was way too strong. I didn't like it, and for whatever reason, I kept going back to it. I was like, all right, well, I'll try it again. I'll see. They say it. I have to know. They keep saying that it makes you feel amazing. I haven't felt amazing yet. I need to keep trying it until I feel amazing. And sooner or later, I tried it, and it did feel amazing. It felt, if everything that they said, it did that and then some. Like that's the feeling I got. That's the connection. I got the connection that I was looking for, that I used to get from marijuana, from this times a million. But I guess what they didn't tell me is that, one day that pill would turn into a blue bag, and that blue bag would lead me to, pawning every TV in my parents' house. Yeah. And, I would end up ruining my 12-year relationship. And, I would end up, on the streets of Kensington, not homeless, but like looking for more, You know, they didn't tell me that, and I'm not saying that because it's their fault or their responsibility. I don't think they knew either.
Did you end up in Kensington?
I did, not homeless, not
Yeah,
homeless in
yeah.
Kensington, but on the streets of Kensington looking for more.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where I heard you could get it, so that's where I went.
Yeah.
When was the point when you knew? I've always talked to a lot of people with the opiates where at some point they figured out that they were getting sick without them. Do you remember that point when?
Oh, I remember.
fell
Trust me, that was like a very, very distinct moment.
Yeah.
Where I was doing these pills, and I had no knowledge of what they were and how damaging they were. You know, all I knew is that it was an illegal pill that I shouldn't be taking. That's it. I didn't know how addictive they were, and I didn't know to what extent, you know. But I remember trying to stop, and I remember, you know, going to a friend and saying, hey, I'm taking these. I don't want to be hooked on these things. You know, I want to get off of these things. And he gave me a Suboxone film, which is a drug that is used to come off of an opiate. And I asked him, you know, I said, how do you take it? And he said, well, you take the film and you put it under your tongue, and it will block your opioid receptor, so you won't be, if you try and use an opiate, it won't work, and you'll feel better. You'll be able to come off of them. Just take a little bit at a time. And I talked to another friend. I went to another friend who was also doing opiates at the time, and he said, hey, I haven't seen you. And I said, yeah, you know, I'm done with that. I'm not taking this stuff anymore. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, my friend gave me a Suboxone, and I'm good. And he was a lot more advanced than I was at that time. Like his addiction was a lot more advanced than mine. And he said, if you think you're going to take a Suboxone and you're just going to be done with these things, you're crazy. And I got very scared when he said that to me, because I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, you're crazy if you think you're just going to take a Suboxone and you're never going to do these things again. And I think a little bit after that, inevitably, I ended up relapsing because he was right. I needed a lot of, as I know now, I needed a lot of clinical therapy. I needed to do a lot of work on myself. There was a lot of things that needed to happen instead of just me taking a Suboxone film and thinking that I was going to fix the problem. But I went home and I told my mom that I'm taking these pills and I don't know how to stop, you know. And
What was that conversation like?
it was very emotional for me.
Sure.
I'm sure it was emotional for her. She I think she tried her best not to show me that she was upset, because I told her I had something very personal I wanted to share with her, and that I think she tried her best to go into mom mode at that moment, you know. And I was like, hey, I'm taking these pills. I don't know how to stop. I'm scared. Please don't tell my little brother. I don't want him to think any less of me. I don't want to fail as a big brother. But I need help. Like, I can't even believe I'm having this conversation with you right now, but I'm taking something and I don't know how to stop. And they got me, her and my dad got me hooked up with a outpatient in Pottstown, because we were living in Douglasville at the time. Rehab after work.
Oh,
And,
sure.
Yeah. So I started going to this outpatient.
But was your dad? He was having his own issues.
He was having his own issues.
So
I
how
didn't
did
know
he?
at that time.
How did he? Oh, you didn't know. I was going to ask, how did he deal knowing that his son now is in trouble like he is?
Yeah, so I didn't know it. I found out shortly after that that my dad also was taking these pills, the same exact pills that I was hooked on. I made that connection shortly after that. But my dad, and rest his soul because he's not here anymore, and this is no fault to his, because I didn't even know how to deal with what I was going through. So I don't think he knew how to deal with what I was going through either. He was, I guess, the opposite of empathetic, and the opposite of understanding. And he was very like, you should just know how to stop. You know, you're taking it, just stop.
Yeah.
You're weak. What do you mean? And again, this is no fault of his. I don't think he was trained or he knew how to handle it, and I didn't either. So they got me hooked up with this place called Rehab After Work, and I started going to this place, and I was like, okay, you know, I figured out what it was. I go to this place three hours a day. They drug test me. So, what I'll do is I'll try my best to stop for when they give me a drug test. And when I come back, I'll just use after it. And then I'll just try and make sure my pee is clean for when I go back.
Hold that thought. What we're going to do is we're going to have to take a break. But before that, if you're just watching the show and you just joined us, we're talking with Darrell Hinton, who is in recovery, and he's going to keep telling his story, but he's the poster boy for giving back and helping our community after you do get sober. So we'll be right back, and we'll continue with Darrell Hinton.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hey, this is Mark Sigmund from the classic rock band Vanilla Fudge. Keep on rocking, Ellipso. Good luck to everybody and all the best.
610-632-8601. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
And welcome back. And we're having a great chat with Darrell Hinton, who is in recovery for over 7 years. He does a lot of great work for our community, giving resources as far as living, employment, training, and all sorts of stuff. I just want to make mention, if you're just listening to us, you want to watch us right now doing this live show, go on Facebook, go to our Facebook page, which is Clean and Sober Radio, and you can actually watch us do the show like these. Oh, we got a lot of people watching today. Kevin Endress, Jim Bilderback from Ventnor, New Jersey. Good afternoon. Love the show. Enjoy your weekend. Todd Klotz is watching. Kathy Wolf-Collin. Ted Klotz is saying, feeling tired and low, going to a meeting tonight, hoping for a good showing. I need the boost of others tonight. I'm sure you're going to get it. Mike Brill, happy Friday, gentlemen. Mike Burke is telling us he's from Media, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, Delaware County. Let me see who else. Lou Montana. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Lou Montana asked, Mark, is Darrell? No. He's not related to whoever you're saying. All right, you got anybody else? Right now?
You got them all.
Okay.
Got yes.
Okay. Listen, if you want to speak to Darrell and ask him any question you want and get some information, some wise information, call us at 610-632-8601. That's 610-632-8601. That's a direct line into this studio.
Yes, and before the break, Darrell was telling us about realizing that, he was getting sick. And then, just like most of us, decided I'm going to try to get off of these things. And then he finally goes to an outpatient place, and you were kind of faking the urines for a while. And where did we go from here?
So I was like, okay, yeah, this is easy because there's no real supervision. I come here for 3 hours a day. As long as I pass the urine and I kind of look like I'm okay, I can kind of, get one over on my parents, and I can get one over on the therapist, and I'll be okay. Everything will be fine. Yeah. So I did that for a little while, and I did that until I couldn't, because what happened is my dad, I came home and he didn't believe me that I was clean, and he was right. And before that, I had went to the doctor, and they had prescribed me something called naltrexone. Yeah. And what I didn't realize, the doctor did explain it to me. He explained that I need to be off of the opiates for, I think, 7 to 10 days before I took the naltrexone. Otherwise, it would put me into like post-acute withdrawal symptoms.
Precipitated
withdrawal symptoms.
The worst.
The worst. And I found out really quickly what that meant, because I was thinking, okay, I've experienced some withdrawals. And at this point, I hadn't been to treatment yet, so my withdrawal symptoms were bad, but they were minimal. They weren't as bad as they got years later. But I'm like, okay, if I take this pill to prove to my dad, or quote unquote prove to my dad that I'm not using, and I go into a little bit of withdrawal, I'll be fine. I'll just go and try and fix it by taking another pill somewhere else. I was wrong.
Very wrong.
I was very wrong. He said, okay, so prove it to me that you're not using. Take this pill. I took the pill. I went to outpatient, and I ended up falling out in outpatient, like violently puking, like yellow stomach bile, violently coming out the other way, the other direction.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can imagine without being too graphic.
Yeah.
Like cold sweat, the worst cold sweats you could ever imagine, violently shaking to the point where they had to call my parents and say, Darnell, it's not okay. He needs to go to the hospital. They had to come and pick me up. They took me to the hospital, Pottstown Hospital, and my parents said, you need to go to treatment. Like, this is obviously not working. You're not sober. So the outpatient isn't working. You need to go away where we physically remove you from the drug. And that is when I went to the retreat at Lancaster.
Well, and Gary and everybody, just to give you an idea of precipitated withdrawal. So basically what naltrexone does, it would knock all the opiates off the receptor at one time. Mm-hmm. So you're going to go into the most intense withdrawal you can possibly imagine.
Awful.
And you don't know how many people I've worked with over the years that have made this mistake. And they've also made it with Suboxone. If you don't wait, it could be up to 72 hours, and since you were using the opiates, that can put you in precipitated withdrawal. And so that must have been really bad.
It was awful. Trust me, it was. I wish I could describe better how awful it was. It was terrible.
It's almost like I want to say, say that whole thing again, because if somebody's listening and they're not really getting it,
yes,
it must have been total hell.
It was hell. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, it was hell. I was like, oh man, they took me to the hospital and I was so relieved. I think they shot me with, I don't know if it was Ativan. I don't know what they shot me with, but finally they shot me with something and the symptoms started to like subside a little bit. And I was like so grateful. I swore at that point I was never going to use again. I was
But
like,
did you? But did you?
Of course I did.
Of course you did.
For years later. But, it was awful.
Again, our number here in the studio is 610-632-8601. This is a very powerful story. And if you just joined us, we were talking with Darrell Hinton, and he is one of the success stories of us after getting into treatment. So how many rehabs you go to?
Like 9 or 10.
We had a woman here who actually beat you. She had 16, and she's now on the board of directors of the Karen Foundation.
Oh, wow.
So
good for her.
So the message is we really can do great things once we decide to get our life back.
Yeah, and when you were in it, I know it led, like, what was some of the unmanageability that was going on? Were you having to steal to get the stuff and all of that, the whole picture?
Yeah, so lying to myself, and then lying to, like, my friends and family members to, like, try and appear that I was still who they thought I was.
Double life,
lying to my girlfriend at the time. I'm doing crazy things to try and appear that I'm not who I actually am, and living a double life, and eventually that led to stealing, and eventually that led to other things.
Addiction is a hard job. You know that?
It is absolutely a 24/7 job. 24/7 job. Again, like I said, I wasn't employable, so I'm getting fired from jobs at this point. I'm not able to keep up with my grades, so I'm not going to class any longer.
Did you graduate from Westchester or no?
Funny story about that. So
I'm sure it's not that funny.
My mom doesn't think it's funny. So,
yeah, right.
What happened is I accumulated all of my credits except for 3. And I walked in graduation because how it works is I was a criminal justice major. So what happens is you graduate, you fulfill all your credits to graduate. And then after you walk in graduation in the summer, they make you do a practicum, which is like an internship where that's how you suffice your final 3 credits or your final however many credits. So the first day of the practicum, literally the first day, I no-called, no-showed because I was sick. I was dope sick. And I no-called, no-showed, and I just figured, okay, well, there's no way they're going to fire me. I mean, I no-called, no-showed, but I'll get a warning or I'll get a write-up or I'll get some kind of disciplinary action, and I won't do it again, and I'll be fine. and I was wrong. They fired me. They sent me an email and said, "Hey, you didn't show up for the first day. You didn't communicate with us that you weren't coming, so we need to fire you from the internship." They communicated with my major. They let my major know what happened, and my major sent me an email saying that because you didn't complete the practicum, that you won't be able to get your degree in criminal justice, and you'll have to re-enroll for what is it called? Liberal arts. You'll have to re-enroll as a liberal arts major
For the 3 credits?
for the 3 credits, and that's how you can earn your degree. So obviously, I had to go and tell my parents.
Yeah.
I had to go and tell my parents that after, all the hard work, and my mom worked 2 jobs to put me through Catholic school, and they worked really hard.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent, but I can imagine how heartbreaking that was
Yeah.
for them, for me to have to go tell them that. So. It was very difficult for me to have to share that with them, and I'm sure it was very difficult for them to have to receive that news. And I was going through my own addiction at that time, so I never bothered to go back and get my degree. But yeah, that's to answer your question. That's what happened.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was expelled from Temple University the last day of my 4th year. I mean, it's sort of interesting.
It's
I was a
ironic, yeah.
journalism major, and I plagiarized my final paper. You're out.
I have a. Well,
How about you, Mark?
Well, my story
Can you
is
top-
is
can you top it?
No, but I thought I had a work study job where I would rent out the VHS tapes, and I'm like, there's no way you can get fired from a work study job. You know what I mean, at the school. And I remember the guy brought me in, and he was like, somebody reported that they smelled alcohol on you. And the thing is I didn't drink that time. I was just high.
It was mouthwash,
all
right?
the time working there. So I got the biggest resentment. I'm like, yeah, they're saying I'm drinking at the job and all this stuff. And I got fired from my work study job. But so that kind of stuff happens, I guess.
Makes
right?
3 of us, yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It does. William Kofalk is watching.
William Kofalk. Maybe.
Okay. Robert Brandis is watching from Shranksville, Pennsylvania. Is Kevin Endress. He must be a new listener. Great show, guys.
2-year listener. Well,
So-
it's funny. If you look, you could actually see their anniversaries on here. Robert Brandis is
How do you see-
4 years.
How do you see this stuff?
Your eyes just aren't as good as mine, is what it is. But if you look really, really closely, you can see that little thing there.
Yeah.
That shows.
I don't have that little thing there.
He doesn't have that little thing there. I have
Okay.
no idea why, but I
Okay.
have it.
Okay. Well, as long as one of us has it.
And we can shout it
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Okay. Darnell, let's talk about your organization that you started called Teach One, Feed One, and tell us how you. Well, you know what? Let me back up. What rehab did you go to, or when did you decide to stop?
So the last time,
Yeah, the last time.
final time, I went to Eagleville Hospital in
Ooh.
2018.
And you know what's interesting about that? Eagleville Hospital is on the grounds of the Montgomery County Correctional
Yes.
Facility,
Yes, it
and
is.
he's now on the board of directors.
Wow.
And I'm also one of the distinguished Eagleville alumni as well. So we
Are
go,
you?
Yeah, we go back every month, and we speak every month.
That's beautiful.
First place.
First Tuesday of every month.
That place has been around
First
a
Wednesday of every month,
long
I'm sorry.
time.
But,
Eagleville.
I'm going to tell you something. 40
That's
years
old school.
ago,
Yeah.
that was not a place you wanted to go to.
Really?
That was all court-ordered
Oh wow,
Yeah.
bad dudes in there.
wow!
It's
It
different
saved my
now.
life.
Saved your life.
What was
Yeah.
the turning point for you? Was it just all of a sudden you were finally ready, or was there certain counselors that? Was there a turning point?
I get that question a lot, and there was like a multitude of different things that happened. So first, the first thing was me. Like I needed to I needed to decide for myself that I wasn't going to do this again. That was the first thing that needed to happen. I didn't need to do it for my girlfriend, for my parents, for my job, because I always felt like in previous times of me going to treatment, I was always doing it for someone else, and I was always in a rush to get back to something. I was going to treatment, but I was going to treatment because I wanted to be clean, but I was also going to treatment because, I had a job that I was going back to, and I felt like I needed to rush back to my job, or, I had a relationship at that time, and I felt like, I needed to do this for my relationship. So the first thing I had to do was I had to do this for me, and that took a lot of work. The second thing is like I said, when I went to Eagleville, there was nothing for me to rush back to. So I lost my job, my car got repoed, lost my apartment, I lost my girlfriend. So usually when I go to treatment, I'm like, I'm not going to do any less than what you tell me. So if you say I have to do 30 days in treatment, if the counselor says we're going to keep you here for 30 days, okay, I'm not going to AMA and leave after 10. I was never that kind of guy. I'll stay. I'll do my 30
Who
days.
paid for it? Did your parents pay for that too?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Insurance
Okay.
paid for it. But I wasn't interested in doing any more than that. I wasn't staying 31. I wasn't staying 30 and a half. You told me 30, I'm staying 30 and I'm leaving. This time, because I had nothing to rush back to, there was nothing to go back to. I think I ended up staying in Eagleville for like 65 days. And if they told me that insurance would have extended it, if they would have let me stay 90, I would have stayed 90 days because, again, there was nothing to rush back to. And I kind of, I don't know what it was, but I kind of found myself in that place.
Yeah.
It was rough. I had to, but again, to answer your question, that decision, in my experience, was all on me in terms of like, I had to learn how to be accountable. I had to learn how to be more honest. I had to learn how to be more open-minded and willing and teachable and grateful and humble. Like those are the things that like I needed to learn how to do that I wasn't willing to do in the past. You know, I wasn't willing to do those things.
You know, I think it is easier in treatment. First of all, if you're not married and you don't have kids, but if you don't have anything to go back to, there's no rush.
Mm-hmm.
I had to say, I did 90 days because I was on welfare and the state paid for it. But it is interesting what you said. If you have nothing to go back to, it does make it, the urgency to get out is not there.
It wasn't there. No, it wasn't there. Where, like I said in the past, I was always rushing back to something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was rushing back to things that really, I don't want to say had no value in my life, but they weren't really, they weren't the best thing for me at that time, you know? Like, for instance, a couple times I got out of treatment, I was rushing back to a job because keeping that job to me was more important than finding another job because I was making decent money at that time.
Yeah.
When really, you know, I probably didn't even, I don't want to say deserve, but I had no business. I guess I would have been better suited working a different job that might have been less paying, but that allowed me to do things that were necessary for me at that time, like making more meetings and, you know, just having more time to just like learn the lessons of being someone with 60 days clean. You know what I mean? Just like the character building things of like when my last time, like I didn't have a car or a license for the first 3.5 years of my sobriety when I got clean. So that meant like if I needed to get to work, I had to either walk, I had to ride a bike, or I had to like ask a friend or my girlfriend or my mom or dad to drive me somewhere, which all of those options suck. Or take the bus, which those options are not good options, but they were very necessary character building things that I needed in my life, you know? And I'm very grateful for that experience. For those
That's
experiences.
incredible. If you're just joining us now, we're talking to Darrell Hinton, a young man in pretty long-term sobriety. When you think we couldn't get a day clean, none of us could, and you're 7.5 years or something like that. And, you know, during the week, we get emails from different people around the country. Stephen M. from Dallas, Texas. Let's get real. Is this epidemic ever going to end?
At some point.
I don't think it is.
It's
I
gonna
think
slow
it's going
down.
to slow down,
Yeah.
calm down. Less people will be dying, and that's probably. Leslie H. from Albany, New York. I hear that the overdose numbers are going down. This is her words, is not a result of less folks using, but simply because of Narcan and other remedies being utilized. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, due to MAT. And I heard something too that some of the dealers are trying to balance it out with the amount of fentanyl or the potency. But who knows? But it's definitely been coming down a little bit.
Yeah, it has. So we're gonna take another break, not a long one. And when we come back, Darnell's going to talk us about everything he has done since he's gotten to recovery, and it's quite impressive. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science. for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to outscience cancer.
What's happening? Brandon Novak here from Those Movies Jacks, or author of that addiction memoir, Dream Seller. Do me a favor and tune into Clean and Sober Radio with Gary Hendler.
610-632-8601. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
And welcome back, everybody. And as I said, we're talking to Darrell Hinton. So, Darrell, tell us, you get out of rehab. Now what happens? And it was 7.5 years ago.
This was 7.5 years ago, yeah.
When you had nothing, right?
I had nothing.
What'd you do?
Zero. So I tried to go to a recovery house, and because I didn't have the funds to get into a recovery house, and my parents weren't willing to give me any funds, which they had every right, because they had given me too much. You know what I mean?
Did you think that when they said no?
In that moment, probably not. I was a
Yeah.
little disappointed.
Yeah.
But obviously now I can see it that way.
Yeah.
So I pretty much had to beg my mom and dad to come back to their house, which at 28 years old, you know, going back to mom and dad's house was very humbling and very no man wants to do that, you know. So
It's hard to bring girls there.
it's hard to. I had a girlfriend at the time, but well, I did later. But at that time, I didn't. But
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I get out, I go there, and I had nothing. You know, I had no car. My car had just been repoed. I didn't have a license, like I said, for the first 3.5 years of my sobriety. So I had to kind of figure life out. And my sister ended up getting me. My sister gave me a phone because I didn't have a phone. I sold it before I went into treatment. So she gave me her phone. And then she ended up, we would go to the gym every day, Retro Fitness in Oaks. And she knew the general manager because she had been going there for like a year. And she was like, "Hey, my brother just got out of rehab. He really needs a job. Do you think you can hire him?" And they said, "Yeah." And they gave me a job. So I was working the counter, making smoothies and checking people in. And I think I still have my like first paycheck. I think the wage was like $7.15 an hour, $7.30 an hour. I don't know what it was, but I was happy with that. You know, like I was very grateful and I was very happy with that because like I said, I wasn't in a rush to go back to anything, and I was very content with where my life was at that time.
You were grateful for everything. Did you feel
Grateful.
like at that point, now I'm slowly getting to be part of society and doing the right things? And
Slowly but surely,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, it was a very, very slow and gradual process, and it took a lot. I'm learning every day, but it required a lot of learning and a lot of work on my part. And it took a lot of help from my family and my friends to get me there. But I was extremely grateful, extremely grateful. So I'm going there. I have this job, and I'm working. I'm going to the gym. I'm coming home, and I finally
you going to meetings?
I'm going to meetings.
Yeah.
And I'm going to IOP.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
because I was getting the Vivitrol shot, and in order for me to continue getting the Vivitrol shot, I had to go to IOP. But I forget why, it was an insurance thing. I had to go to IOP all the way up in Bucks County, in forget where it was.
How'd you get there?
My sister or my mom or dad took me. It was only 3 days a week, but they
That's
helped.
commitment.
That's commitment. They helped me out. So I had to go there, I think, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe, and then eventually to step down to 2 and then 1. So I'm going to this place, and I think it was a Friday afternoon. I think at this time I had probably 90 days clean, if that, And the counselor's just going around in the room, and it's like a Friday in school or in any kind of work setting. It's kind of like a laid-back day. So he goes around and he's asking everyone, what they're going to do that weekend. Like, what are you going to do that weekend? I want everyone to say what they're going to do that weekend. And for whatever reason, I don't even know why I said this to this guy, but I was like, I'm going to go to Kensington and I'm going to feed the homeless. And I remember looking at the guy looking back at me, and he was like, kind of had that look that you have right now. I was like, well, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's pretty noble.
I would have I'm a counselor. I would have that would throw me for such a
Yeah.
loop because I'd be like, Trigger,
Yeah.
Kensington. I'd be like, that would throw me for such a loop. So
He was going to Kensington.
he was. And I mean, as you know, he's got 90 days clean. I would
Yeah.
be, as a counselor, I'd be like, "Are you going alone to
Yeah.
Kensington to feed the homeless?"
I don't suggest
It
that
was
for
meant
anyone
to
else.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said this to him, and he kind of had that look on his face, and I was like, okay, I just told this guy I'm going to go to Kensington and feed the homeless. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be back here on Monday.
You better do
I got to actually do this now. So I took my phone and I went to the bathroom, which, by the way, my phone at that time, I think it only worked on like a Wi-Fi network because like I couldn't afford like an actual plan.
Yeah.
But I went to the bathroom and I was like, all right, let me get on Facebook and just see, let me use the power of social media. Let me see if anyone would join me because one, I don't drive. So how am I getting to Kensington? And two, I probably shouldn't go by myself. So I made a Facebook post just, hey, is anyone interested in going to Kensington and feeding the homeless with me this weekend?
Yeah.
And I think 6 people showed up.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. I think 6 people showed up. We put together like $42. We bought 8 boxes of pizza.
Beautiful.
And like I always say, we indirectly started something that I don't think any of us could have ever imagined.
So that was really the beginning of you helping other people either in recovery or getting into recovery. And because we're getting a little bit close to the end here, talk about Teach One, Feed One, which is your baby. And this is some organization. Tell our audience about it.
So Teach One, Feed One is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our mission is to provide the tools for sustained sobriety to individuals in recovery and ongoing support to their loved ones. So the next question I always get is, well, what does that mean? What do you guys actually do? So our 4 key main areas of focus are we provide financial means for safe housing. So you know how I said I went to treatment and I couldn't get in because I didn't have funds. So we provide financial means for people to get into recovery houses. We provide equitable access to treatment. So if you're someone that can't get into treatment because you don't have an ID or you don't have a ride or you don't have the resources, we can navigate the resources for you to get into treatment. We provide vital in-kind resources. So if you need clothing, if you need cosmetics, if you need, whatever you would need, a bus pass or whatever, Uber rides to get to and from somewhere, we can provide you the resources to do that. And then we also have our own structured, independent, sober living homes as well. And we do this nationwide. Well, we serve nationwide. So to date, we've served in Atlanta, Georgia, Cleveland, Ohio, Washington, D.C., Houston, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, and Knoxville, Tennessee. I may be missing somewhere else.
Well, if you are, you're still covering a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And this all started with feeding the pizza that day?
This all started with feeding the pizza, man. And people just believing.
Yeah.
People just feeding people that day, people believing in me in the beginning, but then the bigger mission, which was kind of crazy and surreal for me, to be honest with you, because I had people I'm utilizing, and the power of social media, just like me utilizing the power of social media, just saying hey, this is what we did this weekend. We're trying to make this bigger. Can you please support us? Can you contribute to this? And people that I hadn't spoke to in years, since high school, started donating and sending money and trusting me with their donation. Hey, I'm just going to Venmo you $50.
Yeah.
And I'm didn't really know how to feel because I'm this is someone, you're sending $50 to someone who's robbed every TV. in their
Listen, we
parents'
talk
house.
about that a lot. It's do you know who you're really dealing with
Do you know
here?
who you're dealing with?
Yeah.
And it was kind of on the other side, it was wow, this is a really humbling. These people are trusting me. They were, first of all, in order for someone to donate, it's not, people just think, oh, you have a nonprofit. People just donate and it's easy. People just give you money. It's not that simple. People have to be inspired and moved to donate. I mean, you get offered, I see people every day. You go into Chick-fil-A or Chipotle, you buy your food and they say, hey, do you want to donate $1 or $5? 8 times out of 10, people say no, no. Sometimes people do, but in order for people to donate to something, usually they have to be inspired. They have to be moved to do that. So for people to be moved and inspired to donate to something that we were doing, it was kind of surreal for me, if I'm being honest with you. It really was.
Listen, man, you're doing such great work. You're saving so many lives. We really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm glad I know you.
I'm glad I know you. I'm glad we sit on the board together.
On the
glad I
board
got
and
to
not
meet
in the
you.
cell together where we really should have
Exactly,
been.
yeah.
Where we should have been. I also want to thank Linda Davis for watching and Debbie Reynolds for watching. Okay. Remember, if you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, help is available. Please call 1-800-662-HELP. For Clean and Sober Radio, I'm Gary Hendler.
I'm Mark Sigmund.
We thank all of you for joining us, and thank you for all the support that you give us each and every day.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves. I hope we pass the auditioning.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great weekend, and that's a wrap.